So we just installed WooCommerce, and right away we have an admin notice at the top of the page that says, your store's upload directory is browsable via the web. We strongly recommend configuring your web server to prevent directory indexing. What gives? So right away I'm going to give you the answer, but stick around towards the end of the video to learn more about why this works. To fix this, one possible option is to add a filter that hooks into the request for this transient and just to always return protected. That'll fix it. But let's trace through this problem. What is a browsable directory or directory indexing? Well, basically, it's when you browse a website and you go to a folder, if there's no web page, then it'll display a list of files and subdirectories within that directory. Here's a couple screenshots that show what a directory index looks like. You've probably seen this before, but it's bare bones and it just lists a set of files that you can click on and download, or if it's a directory, you click and go further into it. Now, my WooCommerce uploads directory is browsable via the web. Is this a concern? I think it really just depends on what you're uploading. So if you're uploading sensitive data or you're uploading content that should only be viewable by one person, then you don't want it browsable, because that's going to allow people to just click around, see what you've uploaded, and download it. But I think it really all depends on what type of WooCommerce store you're running. But what actually happens if I go to my uploads directory? Is it browsable? Let's find out. So there's the link up here, browsable via the web, and when you click that, it goes to your uploads, WooCommerce uploads folder. It's blank in my case. There's nothing in here, and it actually returns a 200 status. So is it actually browsable? It doesn't look like there's anything in there, but it could be an empty directory. So I went ahead and installed the File Manager plugin and went to the directory, and you could see there's a .htaccess file and an index.html file. So it's definitely got content. What's going to happen though is when you go, it's going to load this index.html file. But if we take a look at the file, the htaccess has a deny from all in there, and that's supposed to prevent anyone from accessing the content. And the index.html file is blank. So the fact that we have both of these files and we don't see them, it doesn't really look like it's browsable. That may have something to do with the index.html file. But let's do some further testing. So I renamed the index.html file because it's looking for a file named like that. So I added .back. And right away when we go to it, now we're getting a restricted notice. And if we rename the htaccess file to .back, because again it won't work unless it has that specific file name, it's still restricted when we try to go to it. But if we edit the htaccess file and add options plus indexes, that should make it browsable. And in fact, it does. So you could see the new index file that we just uploaded. We didn't upload, but we renamed it, but it never shows the .htaccess file. What does the documentation say? The admin notice has a link about configuring your web server to prevent directory indexing. I took a look. Honestly, it doesn't seem that helpful. Maybe I skimmed it too quickly, but not a big fan of it. Are other users having the problem? Sure. You can Google the error, and you'll find WordPress.org forum posts. This person was having the problem almost 3 years ago. It was recommended to add a set of code to handle that. And in a different forum thread, the same thing, adding this filter. Do the WooCommerce developers know about this? Yeah, there's a issue in GitHub. There may be multiple, but the one I found is from 2020, and it was closed that same year, but people are still reporting it, several years later, that the issue still exists. So let's try the code snippet. So I installed the code snippets plugin, added this snippet, this filter, and I'm still getting the error. But if you remember, we're dealing with a transient. And sorry, I'm not sure if I said that, but it was in the forum thread, and the user was recommending a transient plugin. So we're dealing with transients, and so I installed the Transients Manager plugin, and you could find the WooCommerce upload directory status, and it says unprotected, and that value is 23 hours, or that's how long it's good for. So whenever we ask if the directory is browsable, it's not even going to check. For the next 23 hours, it's just going to respond back and say, nope, it's unprotected. Or, yes, it is browsable, and so, no, it's unprotected. And that's going to save time. Instead of having to check every time, it'll just say, hey, what happened the last time we checked? Oh, it was unprotected. So we deleted the transient, and it's still there. This is nuts. This is a complicated problem that we have to add code for. Like, what gives? So I searched for the filter name, and I didn't see it. Now, the GitHub search isn't perfect, but it works most of the time. And so maybe this filter isn't in there anymore. So I searched for the transient name, and I found this WooCommerce admin notices class. And there's two references to it. You could see something to do with switching themes. So maybe if you switch themes, it's going to try again. Or looks like it's just the standard way the notice is added. And because it says get user meta, it sounds like this notice is dismissible per user. So every admin that logs in, they're going to see this notice, and they each have to dismiss it. So what I'm going to do is I found the function in there. It's in that same class, admin notices. And you can see towards the end, basically it's returning for, or it's looking for 200 status and an empty website being returned. So I wanted to see what's actually being returned. So I added this echo statement in here. And it looks complicated, but we're using escape HTML along with print R along with an array. We're going to print out the response code and the response content. So we deleted the transient, so it'll run this code again and check. We got the 200 code, but look at the response content. I thought it was going to be blank because the web page was blank, but it's actually returning content. And we are using a dev environment on BullGrid. It's Cloud WordPress. And what that does, it actually shows users the first time they access a site a message that says, hey, this isn't a real website. It's a playground environment. So just be careful on, what you're doing. It's for testing. So again, when I went to it, because I was logged in, it showed an empty page, which I thought everyone was getting. But in an incognito window, it shows this notice. So it's not necessarily a false positive. WooCommerce could probably update the code to check and make sure, it's an actual directory listing. It would have to, it'd be complicated for them. So I think they just took an easy route. So I went ahead to ChatGPT and said, hey, here's the code in WooCommerce. Give me a snippet that's going to filter that get transient call and just always return protected. And a couple lines, not too difficult. So I went ahead and took that into the snippets plugin and fired it up. And sure enough, the snippet is gone. So the only thing that you need to be aware of is that it's always going to return protected. So if anything happens, like maybe you move to a new hosting environment and some of the settings get reset on the server, maybe with another .htaccess file somewhere, who knows? But if something happens and the directory becomes browsable, you're never going to see the notice again. So you just have to be confident that you're sure it's not browsable, and then add that snippet and you won't ever see that message again. So I hope you enjoyed the deep dive. Let me know if you have any questions, and we're going to be talking more WooCommerce in the future. So subscribe for more of those videos. Thank you.